One of the biggest recommendations I can have with Google Docs is first determining how you want to organize your overall docs. When you first log into Google Docs, you'll get this opening page. Now you can see that I do not have much on my opening page because I've gone through and started working on my own organization. What will happen is as you create documents, they're going to show up first on this main page of all items. Now you can leave everything in this all items page, but that can become somewhat confusing because the way that it's going to post them is not by the date it was created, but by the date that it was last modified. So say I created a file in August, but then I came back in October and changed it, it's not going to show up in August, it's now going to show up in October. So it'd be difficult to use that method to go back and find files that I've created in prior times. Instead, what I recommend doing is using folders to help you with your organization. As you can see on the left hand side, I've created several folders that I'm already using within my Google Docs. So if I click on a folder, say the TLI, you can see that I have some files here. Project meetings, I've got several files there. And if I go back to all items, I've got just those things I have not stuck in folders yet. Now if I want to create my own folder, I come up to Create New, I come down to Folder. Now this pops up a new folder down below all other folders I have, and it's called New Folder, but if I change it right here, say I'll just call this Example Folder, I could even give it a description if I wanted, but push Save, now that's called Example Folder. So it now has that new name, and there currently is nothing within my folder. So if I go back to all items, I can look at what I have here. I can start to actually place things in each of these folders. I've got two ways that I can actually place items within folders. One way is to literally click and drag a file into a folder. So say I want it in this example folder, and what you'll see is I know it's in a folder because on the right hand side of that object or that file, it'll tell me exactly which folders it is part of. So this one's now in the example folder. I could click and drag and put in other folders as well. Maybe I wanted in the content specific stuff, and it'll put in content SLI 2010. So it can be in multiple folders at once, and that's not an issue. Maybe I want this multiple pages example also in the example folder, and I could click and drag into it. But there is another way as well. If I click the little checkbox beside a file, I come up to folders, I can choose any of the folders I want. I can choose more than one, or I can choose exactly one. I'm just going to put in this example folder, and I'll put it in, say, the TLI 2010 folder. And you'll see both of those are now listed for this object. Now, I do not need all these files on my front page. I only keep on my front page items that I use on a regular basis. Currently, I'm using this RTOP file a lot, and I'm using the training schedule a lot for what I'm doing. So what I can do is I can take the content specific and this multiple pages, and I'm going to hide them. I do not want to delete them. If I delete them, they will disappear from my docs altogether. Instead, I just want to hide them from my front screen. So I click on the files I want, I go to More Actions, Hide. And now all I have are the things that I use the most. Now if I forget where I put something, on the left hand side I have all items and then several other options. One of those options is Hidden Items. And this is a list of all the files that I've hidden. And as you can see, right there are my two files that I actually just hid. So if I just hide them, they'll be the ones that are most recently checked, and everything else are items that have been hidden before, and they are in order by when they were last modified. So this linear equation review was not something I recently created, but it is something that's been modified in today. So now I go back to all items. I've got just the most necessary things I need on my front, Everything else is within folders, and so I keep myself very organized in that manner.